Well, welcome into another video here on the channel. I just finished watching episode 3 of The Ones Who Live, and now I'm ready to talk about it, so let's get into it. So when the episode opens, it's really neat to see Rick, like old Rick, like when he first gets out of the hospital after he's healed, and he's still old Rick there. He's defiant. You could still say that he's defiant later on, but this is before he realizes like the weight of his situation, I guess. And he comes out into the city. This, I guess they let all the consignees see the city, that way they know what they're fighting for. They know what their end goal is, I would say. And Jadis is there, and Jadis is already fully bought in. And she kind of tells him, I could have just let you die. And Rick is just so determined he's going to get home at that point, and he doesn't care anything about being in the CRM, being in the city. He just wants to get home. And I like how they end that part with him. I'm gonna get home.
I'm going home.
Well, guys, this was the first episode that we where we really get to see Rick and Michonne together. Like, it's the current timeline. There was some time jumps, but it was neat to see that our characters just like in it together. Before we get too far into it, though, I want to talk about Andrew Lincoln. Man, that opening sequence with him and Jadis, he's an amazing actor, and I've seen him play in a lot of things. And I think this may be his best acting job. Just that, when she's talking about killing everyone back home and his reaction, that is just, man, that was just some good stuff. He is so talented, but I always knew that. But he took this to another level. Anyway, let's get into the episode. So after that opening flashback, we jump forward to our present time, and you get to see Rick with Jadis. We're kind of where they left off at the end of last episode, with Rick back at his apartment, and Jadis them having their exchange. And Rick, he tells her that he's going to kill her, because she says she realizes that she's at risk. Jadis does. And Jadis tells him about the file that she has on him, and if something happens to her, we saw all that in the teaser, so we know what's going on there. And pretty much just, she's untouchable. If he tries to kill her, or she does die, then everyone in Alexandria dies. Of course, again, Rick and Michonne and even Jadis don't know that it's really just an outpost. Not many characters are there anymore. And then we cut to Michonne. She's doing her culling station duty as her consignee, and we do see an interesting shot up on the wall. It says Grimes, and I think it says 68. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, because we know he's definitely killed more than 68 walkers there, or whatever they call them here. He calls them walkers, so we're going to call them walkers. And I really liked how, as we open on the culling station in Michonne, that she is talking to Judith. But it was really neat to see that, like, she still has Judith on her mind. She's still, of course she does that to her daughter, but it's just touching to see that. And I really think the overall theme of this episode is just love. The love that these characters all have for each other. And I found it really touching just how much faith Michonne has in the two of them together, Rick and Michonne, just like as a force. Because even when she's talking to Judith, she says she has a heart. She doesn't understand how they were able to stop him so much, because he's so strong. And then she says, but they can't stop us. Which, man, that got me so pumped up for this episode. Now, before we go any further, if we can take it back just a little bit, Rick asked Jadis why she didn't threaten him before, and she says, because I knew you couldn't escape. And he asked her what's changed, and she says, because the two of you can do anything. Michonne knows that too. Rick has kind of forgotten that, because he's been defeated so many times. And I really think this Rick that we see right now, he's just so broken. But he also knows what this group, the CRM, is capable of. And he's, it scares him, because he doesn't want to lose the people that he loves. It's also interesting to see Michonne working with this new consignee character. We don't get her name, or if we did, I missed it. I was just focused on Michonne. But, they're cleaning up bodies, and there's a few walkers that aren't dead. And they all of a sudden find themselves in danger. And Michonne just does Michonne stuff. They're told to clear out, but Michonne clearly is not going to. She doesn't listen, and she takes them out, and she's not helping herself here. Rick is doing everything he can to keep her safe, and she keeps showing that she's not a bee. And, we have some interesting parts, but I'm not gonna jump all in those, because to me this episode, like I said, is more about the love for these two characters that they have for each other. But we kind of have to go over them. Rick asks Thorne for help, because he knows that he can't speak up for Michonne, because he knows she's an A, and he wants her to be labeled a B. So he asks Thorne to do this, and Thorne does it. Thorne gets a promotion. She gets promoted to Okafor's place, and this was kind of the first time that I realized that we had to worry about Thorne, worry about her as a character, and I think she's gonna die. I mean, I don't see because see later on she says something about she sees things differently than Okafor. And that comes after Bill gives her the what they call the upper echelon briefing. So she essentially knows like all the plans. I guess it's what that means, and she knows all the terrible things I would guess that they've done and why they what led to those decisions. Which I guess is in a way like kind of like us being led to believe that she's what like joined the dark side. I guess. I mean, she does step up and help Rick a little bit, but what is she going to do after the way the episode ends? What where's she going to be? And she even had her gun pulled and was going to kill Michonne when they were because Michonne broke order or broke protocol, and Rick had to step in between Michonne and Thorne, and Michonne had no idea that the gun was even pulled on her because she was killing walkers. So anyway, back to what I said about this episode being about the characters' love for each other. Rick did everything he possibly could to get Michonne out of this situation, get her out of danger, and that even though that meant he would never see her again, and he understood that because he wants to keep everyone safe, and he wants to keep Michonne safe. He wants her to get away. He wants her to be with Judith. He doesn't know about RJ still. He doesn't know about RJ, and he writes a letter and tells her, if you love me, you will go. But that's not Michonne. Michonne's not going to leave someone. She's not going to leave Rick, and it also this like I said about love. It also shows her love for him that she's willing to sacrifice herself to keep herself in danger to be with him, and so they can escape together. She just doesn't know everything that Rick knows, and she hasn't seen everything that Rick's seen. Rick is really scared here. He's scared of the CRM. He's scared of what they could do, and I haven't really. I mean, we saw him kind of like this with the Savior arc, and with Negan, but this is a whole different beast here that he's dealing with. And I really love the look that Michonne gives Rick whenever he tells her, like when she does an escape. He worked out this whole plan for her to escape, and he tells her, "So I told you if you loved me, you would have, you would go." And just that look, like, she can't leave him. She can't leave him. She loves him too much. And just that look that she gives is just, I've had that look, not quite on that level, like in the same circumstances, but that's just a wife, I am so mad at you look. That is the look a wife gives a husband whenever he's either done or said something so incredibly stupid she just can't fathom it. So then Michonne gets to go on her, it's like her visit into the city to see what it is that they're working toward. And she said and it kind of has me nervous for Michonne because she's talking to Judith again, and I'm assuming that in her journal, and she says that someone told her she needed to know when to go, and she didn't, and that really does scare me for Michonne. And here's why: because she told Nat that he should go, and he died. She told Aiden and Bailey they should go. They died. Are they setting us up for a Michonne death at the end of the series? Is if it's just these episodes and not another season? Are they setting us up for Michonne's death? So yeah, and just as Michonne is starting to have some doubts about Rick, and should she have gone, she sees the artist, and it's like in the city there's like someone who draws portraits on TVs and phones and stuff, and she sees this, and she knows that this is where Rick got the portraits that she found on the phone. And as a result of her conversation with the artist, her faith that was only a little bit shaken in Rick is completely restored, and it's a really touching moment. I really enjoyed that scene. So then we see Thorne, Rick, and Michonne, and they take her as a consignee. They take her to what I think to begin in the opening credits. We see a place. We see the map, and there's a place that's called the Ruins. I'm pretty sure that's where they're taking Michonne to have this talk with her. And while Thorne is talking to Michonne, she puts her hand behind her back and pulls a knife. And Rick sees this, and he pulls his gun. He's ready to kill Thorne right then in that moment if he has to. And I loved that. I loved that. So anyway, the talk leads to Michonne finding out that she's being moved along with Rick to the base that they set up in, I believe it was Colorado. And so after they get there, not long after they get there, there's some kind of a mission that comes up where the way I understood that part was that there's encroaching dead coming somewhat close to the base, or somewhere that they need to go take out. And Michonne and Rick, they go on this mission with Thorne, and other soldiers. And Michonne is pretty much just told to stay back. She's just there to clean up, and she doesn't follow this order. She runs in carrying this device. It looks like some kind of a bomb. Maybe it draws the walkers in and then it blows up and kills them. And anyway, she doesn't follow this order. And Thorne pulls her gun while they're in combat, and she raises it, and she's going to shoot Michonne. And Rick sees it and steps in. Thorne pretty much tells Rick after the mission that she's going to kill Michonne, and that they need to get rid of her, or that's what's going to happen. And Rick makes the decision that he has to. He tells Michonne that things are over between them, and he doesn't mean it, but he's willing to sacrifice that to keep her alive. And again, this is all about love. This is how much he loves her, that he's willing to break her heart to save her life. But Michonne's not dumb. She sees right through it. They're on a helicopter in a pretty intense storm. And in one of my favorite scenes, Michonne just like lunges forward, grabs Rick, and she opens the door to the helicopter and just dives out with him. And it's just really touching because, you have Rick who's willing to sacrifice his future and his love and his happiness to keep Michonne safe. And Michonne's like, I'm not buying any of that. We're not doing that. She's willing to risk her life to get Rick back to Alexandria and with his family because she loves him. And it's just really neat to see how much these characters love each other and what they're willing to do for each other. But it does have me worried because is this going to be considered as an escape attempt by Rick? I mean, Michonne did it, but Rick's with her, and they're not going to be in the helicopter when the helicopter lands. Is Jadis going to order the attack on Alexandria right here and now? Are we going to see Jadis and Thorne hunting Rick and Michonne in the next episode? There's so many things that could happen in the next episode. I really hope the next episode is going to be really, really fast-paced. Yeah, so anyway, this has kind of been my kind of breakdown and my thoughts about this episode 3. Bye. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. What did you think about this episode? What do you think of my breakdown of it? Do you think the theme is love between the two of them? And how do you see this going forward? Yeah, so that's what I have for this video. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed it. Before I go, though, I do want to let you know that I'm going to be doing a watch-along of this episode tonight when it airs on AMC at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to come back and join me, and we can talk about the episode as we watch it, that'd be great. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you, and I will see you in the next video.